Okay. Okay, folks, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. As a faithful and dedicated assistant superintendent of the Plum Borough School District, a citizen of these great United States, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend their constitutions, laws, codes, and bylaws, and discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Very good. Repeat after me. As a faithful and dedicated superintendent of the Plum Borough School District.
As a faithful and dedicated servant of the Plum Borough School District.
A citizen of these great United States.
A citizen of these great United States.
And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
I will support, obey, and defend.
Their constitutions.
Their constitutions.
Laws.
Laws.
Codes and bylaws.
Codes and bylaws.
And discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
And discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We gotta wait till.
Can I make
I wasn't supposed to. Where did you go back? Now?
You do it, I ain't going.
We'll wait till the.
What's your name? Pull them out.
Too funny.
Where's the place? What's your password? Your email. What's your password? Your email. All right, well, everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we have an empty seat, why don't you have another sit at the very end?
John, roll call.
Dr. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Caldwell?
Here.
Mr. Colson?
Here.
Mr. Kolar?
Here.
Mrs. Rossler?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Schlock?
Here.
Mr. Wisniewski?
Here.
Mr. Zuko? 8 members in attendance.
Hey, Dr. Highland, since we have a seat up there, would you want to sit on the end? The board met in executive session on March 27th to discuss matters of litigation, personnel, real estate, and contract negotiations.
Recommend approval of the following meeting minutes as listed: February 27, 2018, regular voting meeting minutes, March 20, 2018, special voting meeting minutes.
On behalf of the board, I will make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, next is going to be student features. Wrestling team honors,
Oh, Make-A-Wish first.
or Make-A-Wish telethon students first, and then wrestling after that.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Barat, and I teach television productions at Plum High School. Tonight, we're going to talk about our 18th annual Make-A-Wish Telethon, and without further ado, I'd like to call up student co-producer Bree Bialotta.
Thanks, Mr. Barat. Being one of the student producers for the Make-A-Wish Telethon this year helped me realize how much work actually goes into this process. To start things off, we had a meeting with all of the hosts and floor directors in the middle of October to start deciding the order of the show, getting the 80 interviews in order, and placing 15 videos throughout. After this 4.5-hour meeting, the hosts created their questions for the interviewees and shared them with me. I then pieced them together to make the whole script, and then I shared it with Mr. Barat, and we went back and forth making changes and editing it. I also made a chart of all of the interviewees with columns of arrival times and RSVP. This went on pretty much until the day of the telethon in December. Basically, there was a lot of editing and contacting people up until the practices a couple of days before the actual telethon. Now, I'd like to introduce the NHS President, Carly Glover. Thank you.
Thanks, Bree. Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Glover, the National Honor Society president, and I'm here to talk on behalf of the fundraising part that went along with the telethon. This year, the National Honor Society raised just over $40,000 in total, and we've been fundraising since September. As far as the elementary and middle schools are concerned, various fundraisers were held. Pivot organized its sixth grade versus faculty volleyball game, and both Pivot and Regency participated in Penny Wars. Holiday Park did the Jogathon, and O-Block did the Readathon. Center held special theme days such as Steeler Day, Backwards Day, and Patriotic Day. I was mainly responsible for organizing and holding high school fundraisers, which made up $16,000 of the $40,000 total. We started in mid-September with Car Wash. Our flocking committee started in mid-October, and we flocked houses twice a week up until the telethon in December with our flocking committee. And both the Make-A-Wish dinner and Mr. PHS took place in November, and the semi-formal was held the first week of December. Our 11th period competition started the first week of December and ran up till the week of the telethon. We also held multiple spirit nights throughout these months, including Chick-fil-A and Blaze Pizza. All of these fundraisers were largely successful because of the hard work and dedication put in by everyone across the district, and we were able to fund 8 wishes. Now I would like to introduce one of the Make-A-Wish Telethon co-hosts, Patrick Boss.
All right, I'm here to talk about the telethon practice days, and our telethon practices were on December 19th and December 20th after school. We went through the telethon twice each practice day, and these practices helped you learn important life skills such as collaborating with peers and organizational skills. These practices put together all of the time we invested to create the 18th annual Make-A-Wish Telethon. During these days, you can see the excitement in every student's face. We all knew we were participating in something special that creates a strong sense of community within Plumboro and helps out an amazing cause in the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, I'd like to introduce my fellow television production member, Jackson Gilday.
Thanks, Pat. On December 21st, the day of the telethon, we met around 5 a.m. to go over the script and practice anything else we needed to do. After our last practice in the morning, we went on air around 7:30. Starting off our 18th annual telethon was Bill Hillgrove, play-by-play announcer for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Pittsburgh Panthers. Other special guests attending included Chris Mueller from 93.7 The Fan, Rick Dayton from KDKA, Mike Clark from Channel 4 Action News, Scott Harbaugh from WPXI, and Ron Antill, who's one of the hosts from Wish 99.7, and Greg Brown, who's a play-by-play announcer for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Some Plum alums showed up. Pat Muldowney, who works for Bill Simmons podcast located in Los Angeles. Missy Matthews, who's a multimedia specialist for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Steve Fabian from Inside Edition. Now to talk about Telethon Part 2 is Luke Foster. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jackson. As I'm sure all of you know, our telethon in December this year encountered some technical difficulties. After learning that we were unable to upload it to YouTube with audio, we were all really down because the community wasn't able to see how much hard work that we all put into this. But once we returned from break, however, Mr. Barat gave us the option to, because he could tell how we felt, he gave us the option to make a second telethon in February. And this one would actually be live streamed, which we've never done before. And we all jumped at the opportunity because we were all very excited. It was a really historic thing for us to do. And we practiced for 2 days for about 2 hours each time. And the interesting thing is that this is the first telethon that we've ever done that wasn't in December. It was the first telethon Part 2. And we had all the building principals and all the Make-A-Wish reps, which we've never done on the telethon before either. We've never got to show all those people that also put a lot of hard work into the fundraising and everything that we do for Make-A-Wish. And our runtime ended up being 4 hours and 10 minutes, which is short for us because this year our telethon was 6.5 hours, our first one. And other schools in the surrounding area actually have telethons that are half that size in time length. So I can say that as a host, that it was a lot of fun to be part of this. And like whatever you want to call it, Telethon Part 2, the 19th telethon, I just thought it was a really great experience. And I think that I can speak for my fellow co-hosts when I say that it was just a great time for everybody. And I'd personally like to thank Mr. Barat for the education that this has given me and just TV in general. Because a few weeks ago, I went up to an overnight event at Allegheny College, which I will be attending. And basically, they let you stay overnight and you can take classes that you are intending to take when you're in college. And I attended a Visual Productions 2 class, which was a class for juniors and seniors in college. But I actually knew things that a lot of the students in there didn't know, and I was able to like raise my hand and answer questions like an actual student that was in the class, which I thought was really cool because, again, those were juniors and seniors in college, and I knew what I was talking about in that class, so I just thought that was really cool. And I was really excited when I got back and I told Mr. Barat everything. So I just want to thank him for that. And yeah, here's Pat Voss again, another one of the telethon co-hosts.
Okay, at this time, I'd just like to recognize the schools who participated in the fundraising for the Make-A-Wish Telethon. Center's total was $3,149.12. Holiday Park's total was $10,161.09. Pivot's total was $6,858.65. Regency's was $2,349.12. O-Blocks was a clean $1,000. High School was $16,544.58. And we had a total of $40,063.58. And one last thing I'd like to mention is the TV Productions program involvement in the Maltesers competition. And Maltesers is a candy from the UK that wanted to integrate its product into the United States marketplace. So they held a competition to create a commercial for their product that would be hopefully, you know, televised and showed off. But Plum entered that competition and we ranked 3rd nationally in their competition. So that kind of just shows the level of advancement that this program has. And now I'd like to bring back up TV production teacher, Mr. Rick Brott.
Good job, guys. We have a little video to play. I just emailed the school board. There was a national article written about us and our Make-A-Wish Telethon and the TV production classes. And if Jason in the back is ready to roll, we have a 2-minute video that goes along on their website about the article that was written. So I thought we'd play this tonight.
2 minutes.
Today we have our 18th annual Make-A-Wish Telethon. We have people from all over the state in Pittsburgh that come out and support us. Students and staff and the community look forward to this every single year.
You kind of had a style.
Television program gives our students hands-on experience. I can't tell you how many emails I receive from Mr. Barat each year from students that graduate and go on, how much this program has contributed to their success.
Star Harbaugh, we're not going to Dr. Hall. Dr. Hall is going to Star Harbaugh.
TriCaster's workflow is, it's easy for us now, but obviously when we started, it was a learning process, but the students have picked it up pretty quick. As quick as I have, in some cases a little bit quicker, and they're like, hey, Mr. Barat, do you know the TriCaster can do this? And I'm like, sure. The TriCaster we have is the 460. With the 460, we do our daily announcements, and then with the mini TriCaster, we do our school board meetings, wrestling matches, hockey games, baseball games, and softball games.
1 minute! I'm the student producer of the telethon, which means Will's working the TriCaster. I don't really do much with that. I'm more of the person, I wrote the script, I called everyone, I emailed everyone, bossing people around, that's what I'm doing. Our goal for Make-A-Wish is to raise as much money as we can for the kids. I think it's something they really deserve. They go through all the hard times, and I just think it's something that we should do for them.
Come on. Good? That's actually really good.
I'm pretty much the producer with Bree Bialotta. We co-produce, but me and a few other kids, Kulosevich, we actually run the TriCaster. And TriCaster is really easy to learn, and it's actually pretty fun to run. It's really simple for us as students to learn, not just, you don't have to be a professional to do it. You don't need to know stuff to do it. You can just do it to learn. And I found out that the Penguins and the Steelers use it, so it's always good to use what the professionals use, I guess.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Now, just to clear the air real quick, even though I've been put fun of now, and it was a little hard to take back in December, but we did have some technical difficulties after the telethon, and one of the harder days of my teaching career. I rank it right up there. Unfortunately, when I got the call last year about my father and my mother, to see all the students in front of me after being up at school since 5 in the morning, and you know, it's 5 p.m. and we realized that our in-house audio didn't work, was awful. So we made the decision to put on a message in front of the telethon, and we still made the decision. I thought it was important to give the students a choice. You know, do we not air it or do we air it? And we decided to air it with a message in front. I called Dr. Yamninsky, and she agreed with the idea. But, you know, I needed to make it right for the students. And so, sure enough, when I came back after break, I said, guys, we can live stream. We can live stream anything with our TriCaster, and we can go right out onto the web. What do you think if we do Telethon Part 2 and we live stream it? Unfortunately, you know, we're not going to be able to get Greg Brown, the play-by-play announcer from the Pirates. He's down in Bradenton, or Steve Fabian, former Plum student in Inside Edition. You know, Pat Muldowney's out in LA, but you know, we can bring in all the Make-A-Wish reps from the district, and which they all came in, and all the principals, because they're getting ready with their Christmas parties. They don't have the, as they raise all the money in their respective buildings, they don't get to see what we do on that last day before Christmas break. And so we ran 4 hours and 10 minutes, and it was wonderful. We had a great time, and it was a wonderful experience for the students. So. That was great. So it was nice now, and I remember, you know, as we're leading up to it, my principal's asking me, make sure you have audio. And I said, okay. So it's a little bit easier to take 2 months after the fact. So, but that's it. The telethon was a success, and just to give you an update about the future of the television production program, I know Mrs. Lamb's behind me over my left shoulder. And with her help and Carnegie Mellon University, we're going to start a VR project in the high school, kind of mapping out the high school halls and classrooms. And I think that's important to give the students the opportunity to use the 360-degree cameras and the new technology that's provided to us by Carnegie Mellon. So that's another opportunity for the television production students. And also tonight, with the help of Vince Lagatieri tonight and his 2 robotic cameras, my students have another opportunity to learn something different. And with the help of Vince and I'm sure Mike Thomas and the borough allowing the school board to come down here, that gives us another opportunity to learn something new. So we appreciate all those opportunities. And as it's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure to teach these former students that come back to the telethon, get a good look at the students over there right now, because I think we'll be talking about them someday in the future. Thank you.
All right, next is going to be the wrestling team honors.
Good evening. Dr. Anderson and I myself have several student athletes to recognize tonight for their outstanding accomplishments, and we're going to start with our wrestling team honors. I'd like to invite up Coach Mike Supak. Coach Supak has several of his wrestlers who achieved high honors both in the county and in the Southwest region. So we're going to go ahead and let him introduce his student athletes and tell us a little bit about each of their accomplishments so that we can acknowledge their performance. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. First, I'd like to extend thanks for you guys letting us to acknowledge these wrestlers. They did such a good job this year. First off, Vince Citrano. He took first place at the Allegheny Counties. He was the outstanding wrestler, and he took 5th place at the Southwest Junior High Championships. And he also placed 5th at the Junior High State Championship. Next is Paul McClintock. He finished 2nd in the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament. Next is Caden Norcutt. He finished 5th at the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament. Next is Nick Lamia. He finished 3rd at the Allegheny County Tournament and 8th at the Southwest Junior High Championship. Next is Nick Salerno. He finished 1st at the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament and 1st at the Southwest Junior High Championships, and he was also a qualifier for the state tournament. Next is Andrew Clausen. He finished 1st at the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament and 5th at the District 7 Southwest Junior High Tournament, and he was also a Pennsylvania Junior High state qualifier. Next is Andrew Napoleon. He finished 2nd at the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament. Next is Frankie Masiosi. He finished 2nd at the Allegheny County Junior High Tournament. He was also a Pennsylvania Junior High state qualifier. We also had 2 other guys qualify for the state championship tournament, Ollie Freeman and Brady Dejonovich.
If your parents want to come up and get a picture, feel free.
Is Dr. Brewer going to take a picture for the website? Should I ask him?
Go ahead.
Dr. Brewer, do you want to take a picture, please?
Thank you. All right, guys.
I would add that we're looking forward to seeing you gentlemen back next year.
Next up is boys basketball.
Yes, I'd like to invite up Coach Hart Coleman. And I have to thank Coach Coleman. He came to us in Plum for the first time this year. We were looking for a guy with some experience who had some shoes to fill here, and he certainly filled the bill. He's done a great job with the boys. And It's always hard the first year you're starting off with a new team, a young team, and he did a good job with them, so I want to thank him. Come on up, Coach.
Good evening. I'd like to thank you for welcoming me and Lamar to this meeting this evening. I just wanted to briefly talk about Lamar real quickly, if I could. As the first year coach, one of the first things that I did was find out what type of young men I had on and off the basketball court. Lamar Whiting exemplifies exactly what I needed coming into the program. He has leadership qualities that make him an outstanding young man. Lamar was the only returning varsity player we had from the 2016-2017 team. He was selected as co-captain by his peers, and he rallied the guys together in order to make us a close-knit team. As the second team all-conference selection, Lamar led the team in scoring, averaging 20.3 points per game. But the accomplishment that I am most proud of Lamar is he is truly a student athlete, maintaining over a 3-point grade point average. So I just want to call up Lamar Whiting.
Okay, next we'd like to recognize girls basketball and Coach Steve Elser. If you could step up, please, Coach. Thank you very much. Come on out.
Kennedy, if you want to come on up. Before I go into that, one, I just wanted to thank you as a school board for all the things that you do. My father is a vice president of a school board on the other side of state, and I know it's a thankless job, so thank you for doing that. I also want to thank Bob Alpino and Jeff Wolf for helping us athletically. They do a great job. They always get back to me. They're always accessible. As far as Kenny had a great first season with us. As a freshman, to be second team section is a great honor. She averaged 12.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 40% from the field, and did some tremendous things for us. So we're looking forward to having her for the next 3 years and doing some great things here at Plum, and look forward to coaching and continuing to work with her. Thanks.
Okay, now we'd like to acknowledge our outstanding swimming athletes, and I'd like to call up Coach Sean Hopp, please. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Thanks for giving us a couple minutes to acknowledge our student athletes. We had a great season. Again, we had men's and women's teams both had winning seasons. Out of the 32 swimmers, we took 14 that qualified for the WPIAL Championships, which was held at University of Pittsburgh. While the student athletes were in Pittsburgh for 2 days, we had a couple of highlight swims, as well as everyone that performed almost 100% of best times while we were there, personal bests. So, but today I'd like to bring up a few people. Can I have Delaney White? Devin Taylor? Charlotte Jones? And Alex Smith? So these four ladies participated in a 200 medley relay while at the championships, and they finished 7th place overall. And while they placed 7th, they also broke the school record with a time of 1:49:30. Devin Taylor, step forward. While Devin was at the championship meet, she competed in the 200 IM, where she finished 6th place overall, which allowed her to attend the PIAA championships. And then she also broke the school record in the 200 IM. She did it there, but she did it previously in the season as well. And then she also competed in the 100 breaststroke. She finished 4th overall, and also breaking the school record with a time of 1:04:16. Those two swims allowed her to move on to the state championship, where she finished 8th in the state with a time of 1:04:13 and yet another school record. Thank you. Thank you.
Huh? Well, yeah. Yeah, they go. Let us see.
Any papers there? Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic.
Good, I mean, yeah. All right, is there any citizens' comments on agenda items? Is there any citizens' comments on non-agenda items?
Hi, Michelle Gallagher, 7 Heather Court. I'm going to speak about the Make-A-Wish program and the TV production course. My son was supposed to be part of the program this evening and speak, but he's home with the flu. So I wanted to give all of those students that spoke this evening a lot of congratulatory and talk about the parent perspective and how much it, you know, and living with the student that is part of the Make-A-Wish program and what goes into it. And they all tapped into that very, very profoundly and were able to capture exactly what they did. And the 5 a.m. you know, call at school and getting there, you know, getting up at 4 o'clock, getting there at 5 a.m. And these kids really did put a lot of work into that. And knowing firsthand that on that day in December, and the technical difficulties that they did have, and getting the phone call from my son, and talking with some of the other students and the other mothers that, you know, their child was just as disappointed and just as heartbroken. But I truly don't think that there was anybody more heartbroken than Mr. Rick Barat. He truly, you could see it, he was very devastated and under no fault of his own or any of these students. And I just want to congratulate him and all of these students again on all of their time and what they did. And basically say what some of the things that my son wanted to say, that in being a TV3 student, without the television production program and the guidance of Mr. Rick Barat, the Make-A-Wish would not be possible. He knows firsthand that gets put into this course and that the telethon and that everything that they put on, it is something to be proud of as the students and as a district. My son is involved in many activities in this school, and I can say that this program and the results that come forth are the single best thing going for this high school, one of them. As a district, we raise tens of thousands of dollars every year, and we are the #1 fundraising school district for Make-A-Wish in the world. Taking the television productions leaves students leaving here very proud. And the one student talked about going to Allegheny College, and my son was with him in that film production class. And that is very true. It is very true that when they sat in on that class and had active participation in that film class, that they were well advanced and because of the TV courses. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Rick Barat for all he does for our students and for our school district. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patricia Cook. I live on Unity Center Road. I've lived here since 1964, and I raised...
What house number on Unity?
Oh, 858.
Okay.
858 Unity Center Road. I've lived here since 1964, and I've raised 4 sons here who went to Plum School District. I attended last month's meeting. I have to admit I hadn't attended a meeting since late last year when all the conversation was related to what was going on with the Regency School. At that time, emotions were very raw, and I was fairly mortified over some of the behavior of the attendees. Some of that seems to be still going on. I know people have concerns and also have the right to make suggestions and give their opinions about decisions made by the board, but should do so in an appropriate manner. Screaming and name-calling don't accomplish anything. The school board is duly elected by the majority of the Plum Borough residents. The new board has only been in place for a few months. Most have full-time jobs. They also spend hours each week in meetings and doing research. They do this with zero compensation and very little reward, and at the same time, a lot of criticism. We, the voters, gave them the responsibility of making the best decisions for our children and the entire school district. Not everyone will be pleased with those decisions, but they have to take into account the funds available. The fact is, the borough can't do everything. Short-term, raising taxes can help, but cannot be the only solution year after year. Cuts have to be made. Everyone needs to accept that, and we definitely don't want to be in the same situation as Penn Hills. Most of the budget is spent on salaries and pensions. The board has nothing to do with the pension situation. It is controlled by the state and going broke. So simply put, let's not make this board responsible for bad decisions made in the past. They are doing their best to stop the bleeding. Some won't get everything they want. Changes are difficult at first, but after a short time, usually accepted. I am personally optimistic that the board's decisions will prove to be the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Chapless, 694 Pine Valley Drive. Couple questions. There was a safety meeting scheduled for tomorrow. It was on the district website. It's no longer there. Is it still going to happen, or is it?
The one that was scheduled for the 28th was pushed back, I guess postponed, because we're kind of waiting on safety assessment results. And it was in the best interest of the board to push it back.
Okay.
That was the decision.
We're also waiting for Dr. Highland to become an official employee.
Okay.
So it's going to be rescheduled.
Okay, looking at the new organizational chart, who's the Title IX person?
And that would be addressed in committees.
That would be addressed.
So it's not,
This isn't a question. You can just make a comment, and we can
It's
answer it through email.
it's not a question and answer. Just make your comments, Bill.
well, that's a
And the
direct
board
question.
has
Nobody-
discussion after. We'll
You
move
don't,
on.
you don't have a Title IX person right now?
Just make your comments. And
Okay, all right, okay, I'll do that. Under the new organizational chart, an assistant superintendent has been added, so that would make 2. And under the 1, it has safety in the job description. Now, is the intent of the board to hire somebody with credentials to handle overall safety of the school district? I go back to the safety coordinator. There was a lot of time spent on that job description, and there's, as you know, there's a lot that has to do with overall safety of a school district. There was plenty of discussion that somebody with the credential should be in charge of safety, and especially with what goes on in the school district. I mean, we got to straighten it out. Another thing that was talked about, metal detectors, and possibly having security personnel at every building, especially with what has been going on in the nation. So I think, you know, something, I hope, because these were all things that were talked about at least 3 years ago, and they're still out there. And being involved the past 3 years, I really haven't seen a change in safety, and especially the safety model. And I asked, you know, again, the assistant superintendent has the safety on their job description. I think somebody should be hired with their credentials to fill the safety role. Thank you.
Is there any additional comments?
Hopefully I don't need my glasses. Michelle Stepnick, 3020 Settlers Court. I'm here tonight to talk about the 19 cuts that are going to happen for our teachers, and that ultimately affects our students and what they learn. It's clearly not all elementary. Our numbers don't reflect to lose 19 teachers out of elementary schools. Every school teacher in this district was furloughed, so clearly it's going to affect every single building and every single grade in some way, shape, or form. Historically, when we've had retirees, we've had to sometimes fill them, sometimes not fill them, based on trying to be creative amongst the staff. And I'd ask that you look at that. And I'd also ask, can you please prove to the community the declining enrollment numbers to show where we need to lose 19 employees? Not employees, I'm saying teachers, because there's an additional employees coming with that. And also, are you aware that we currently have, I think, is it 12, 13 long-term subs in the district? That those furloughed teachers are the first people you call back and you pay at their current rate, not the sub rate. So I'd ask you to think about those things, look long-term, because ultimately you're supposed to be here to represent the students, and you're not doing a very good job. And I can't wait for the new assistant superintendent from Pine Richland. Looking forward to it.
Anyone else, Steve?
Just in response to some of the comments made. At the end of the comments. Anybody have additional comments?
I think that's just an example of what I was talking about. Coming from a former board member and one that evidently didn't do a very good job and got voted off the board, I find it fairly humorous.
In response to some of the comments made, I just wanted to say, as far as safety is concerned, the board has a lot of big, important decisions, but I think we're waiting on some of the safety assessment results. Dr. Howland coming on, I know he's going to bring some ideas from where he was from, and and basically the board is collectively as a whole is going to figure out how we can best secure our schools. So we have some decisions to make in the future. We're aware of that. And as far as the budget is concerned, as far as cuts, we're in a $5 million deficit. We got tough decisions to make, and that's our job to make those decisions. That's why we were elected. So we still have important discussions going up with the budget, but that's going forward. So we'll move on with the agenda.
Okay. Education Committee, Dr. Anderson, Chairperson. Recommend approval to accept grant donations from the following as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
I apologize.
What about the athletic?
I had, sorry.
Do you want to finish athletic, education?
I'll finish education, then we'll go
Okay.
back. Okay. Recommend approval of the following overnight field trips as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion passes.
Dr. Anderson, do you have a report?
First, I'd just like to recognize, not by name, but all of the teachers that are listed here who have gathered donations, and gotten money to help our students and be able to do additional programming. I think that's to be commended. And second, I want to thank all of our administration and principals again for working through the configuration model. It's been a long month getting all of that through and taken care of, but I really feel like we've set ourselves up in a great position to move forward here. So I just want to thank all of them as well. Yeah, I had Eastern Schools, but else.
All right, thank you. Athletic Committee, Mrs. Caldwell, I apologize, Chairperson.
No worries.
Recommend approval to accept the resignation of Nathan Rebovich, junior high boys assistant track coach, effective March 20, 2018.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval to hire Bernie Puchka, junior high boys assistant track coach, effective March 20, 2018.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Mrs. Caldwell, do you have a report?
Just briefly, Dr. Yamnitsky, the athletic committee did not meet this month. There are a few items on the facilities committee that will address some of our athletic needs, and Mr. Colson will be handling those with his agenda. I want to just let everyone know that we had so many student athletes have so many successes over the winter that we've kind of separated them out. So next month in April, we will recognize bowling and our high school wrestling students. And also to let everyone know that we had a bowler, Shannon Small, won the WPIBL regional event, and the girls team finished third and qualified for the state event. So congratulations to them. We'll look forward to recognizing them here with the board shortly. Also, spring sports and practices have begun, and competitions begin this week, so we want to wish all our spring athletes and our coaches great success in the spring season. Thank you.
Thank you. Safe Schools Committee, Mrs. Rossler, Chairperson.
I just have a short report. I want to apologize to Dr. Highland because when I scheduled the safety meeting, the community safety meeting, I didn't take into account that you would not be an employee of the district. So I think it was fair to you to wait until you're officially a Plum Borough School District employee. So I apologize, and we're going to reschedule that meeting, hopefully sooner rather than later. As far as safety goes, Mr. Chaplin did bring up some safety items. We do have the safety coordinator to still talk about. I had talked about that position, possibly being in that model of safety somewhere on the organizational chart. Also, changing the model of safety, just different things we're still looking at as a board. To any parents that have concerns, they can always go on to the school district website. They can look at the meeting minutes of the last 2 years. We have taken safety and made it a priority in this district. Any concerns that you have regarding safety, specific examples, I think you can always direct to the administration. But safety is important to this board, and you know, we're going to continue to reach out to the community and be proactive. There's things going on behind the scenes that you might not necessarily know or see, but we are reaching out and looking at different maybe initiatives, we can call them, or different ways we look at safety. And we've had the administrators also involved in that, such as things we can do for bullying. So I just want to keep my report as short as I can. Typically it's longer than this, but you know, I just want to thank the board for, you know, all they do, and you have supported me with safety initiatives. So moving forward, I think we're going to have, you know, work well together. I'll say that, and thank you, Dr. Highland. Welcome aboard. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Eastern Area Schools, Dr. Anderson.
Yeah, Eastern Area Schools met again this month. 3 takeaways from it that I've already made John and Dr. Highland and Dr. Nitsky aware of. And John, I don't know, is it customary for us to have a bill at the end of the year from the IU from them? Yes. Okay, so they just said that they overspent and that there's a small bill that we're supposed to get.
Not normally a supplemental, but we saw the reasons for it.
Yeah, yeah. And then that there's great need for capital improvements there, and so they talked about the owners of the building itself, that they were considering having the superintendents come and walk through and see some of the capital improvements and talk to the districts about if there's any room in their budgets to offer any funding to help with any capital improvements. So be on the watch for that. And then also that there is a rise in price for next year's tuition, and we currently have 7 students who are there.
Okay, thank you. Facilities Committee, Mr. Colson, Chairperson. Recommend approval of the O-Block Reach Out Beautification Project.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the Baseball Boosters request to widen the right field gate to 20 feet, funded by the baseball boosters.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Did we get our question answered regarding insurance on that?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Horchak. You're fine with that?
I can send it out to all of you,
As long as you're happy with it.
Yeah,
I'm
you can
happy.
send it out. Yeah.
Okay.
but I'll send it
Yeah.
out just so you have the information.
And in addition, thank you to the baseball boosters for taking that on.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval to send out bids for the following services: transportation parts, trash recycling, lawn maintenance, sports fields, athletic supplies, and yearbooks.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Mr. Colson, do you have a report?
Yes, Dr. Yaminski. Just real quick, the committee met 2 weeks ago. One of the reasons why our list is so short this week is I wanted to thank Mr. Zahorchak for his efforts on that. He's been doing a great job keeping me up to date on all the tons of things that go on in facilities that we probably aren't quite as glamorous as some other things. So I just wanted to thank him publicly for that. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Schlock, Chairperson. Recommend approval of the parcel sale 443-S-35.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval to accept the Keystone Consulting Agreement.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval to accept the single audit.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, IDEA, Educational Service Agreement, use of funds, and notice of adoption.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the budget transfers for March.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the GOB invoices for March.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the Treasurer's Report and General Fund Bill for February.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the Grade Point Resources Contract for Guidance Counselor Services.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose? Motion passes. Yeah, as far as the budget's concerned, we're going to get into serious discussions now. Anybody obviously open to the public. We're facing a $5.2 million deficit for the 18-19 school year. There's no easy way to balance a budget when you're $5 million on a hole. All I can say is we've made some tough decisions already with the configuration, and we're going to have some tough, just as tough decisions coming up. But basically, I think collectively as a board, I think we're all ready to tackle this. And the first budget workshop is going to be following April 12th, the week following April 12th. So that'll be the first budget workshop. But we haven't exactly set a date, but it'll be in that time frame. So, John, anything else to add? No. Yeah, pretty much that's everything.
Clean audit.
We had a clean audit.
Do you want to talk about the clean audit on camera?
We had a clean audit. We did, the business staff, they did a great job. The girls, the work and the staff, they worked very hard to get us to that point. We had some help from some good people along the way, good accountants that are doing the work for us. So it's a credit to, good leadership from the school board. It's a credit to everyone that was involved in that. I'm real happy to say that. A little embarrassed to to talk about that, you know, but because it is part of the expectation of the job, and that's what we want to do. That's what we strive to do is get clean audits and do well and be recognized for hard work and, you know, take it to the next level now. That's always the goal, is to keep pushing, keep looking to find new ways to create transparency for taxpayers, to create accountability for all of our stakeholders, and that's what we're looking to achieve.
I mean, that's a huge difference from our previous audits where they came back $4 million short, so that's amazing. And thank you, John, for straightening everything out and doing such a good job.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, food service?
Food Service Committee, Mr. Rogers, Chairperson.
The Food Service Committee did not meet this month, Dr. Yanowski.
Forbes Road, CTC, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Dr. Yanowski. Just a few things. First of all, the National Technical Honor Society induction was held on March 6th, and the following students from Plum were admitted into that. Jeremy Burnett for automotive technology, Kaylee Huff for cosmetology, Alexa Kozeb for early childhood education, Raymond Lowe for electrical technology, Elena McKenna for computer networking and security, Sean Starr for advanced manufacturing, and Jordan Townsend for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. It's quite an honor for these young folks, and we should be very proud of them. The second thing here, the administration asked if the 2018-19 calendars could be submitted to them as soon as possible, because they're waiting to make up their calendars, so they need the ones from all the districts. The Spring Hope Open House was held on March 15th. There were a total of 397 students attended the open house, which is up over 103 students from last year. So there was a very well-received open house. Couple more things. I don't know if you saw the article in the paper, but Governor Wolf announced a $1.2 million award to expand job and skills training for students. There were 38 career technical centers that received part of these grants. Forbes Road was one of them. They would get approximately $15,000, and this will be used to buy equipment to train students for high-demand jobs that businesses need to fill. And on top of that, there's an additional $25,000 grant that they received for career readiness. And they're going to implement a future readiness index to measure the kids to see how well they are prepared for the jobs that are going to be needed. And the last item here, for information purposes, building number 1 over there at Forbes needs a new roof. The contract was awarded to Altoona Roofing and Sheet Metal, total contract of just about $1,400,000. They've been setting aside money for several years now, knowing that they were going to need this roof, and they've set aside approximately $1,150,000. I don't know what the increase on our contribution will be. They still have to work out the numbers. But every school will be having to pay a little bit more contributing to what they normally pay. As soon as I find out the numbers, John, I'll let you know, so we can work that in. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Intergovernmental Committee, Mrs. Rossler, Chairperson.
We did not meet.
Legislative Policy Council, Mrs. Caldwell.
Thank you, Dr. Yamnitsky. I would like to thank we have some council members present. I'd like to thank them for allowing us to share the council chambers with them. We greatly appreciate it. It's a comfortable setting, so thank you for welcoming us to your community home. In addition, I did speak with Representative Markozik today. He's been quite busy in Harrisburg. He's working on several pieces of legislation, and Mr. Zohorchek and I will be meeting with him soon. He actually wants to bring some of his staff from Harrisburg here to meet with us in Plum to see what ideas they may have for us as far as grants and any financial assistance that they have different avenues in which they could help us. So we look forward to doing that. Dr. Highlander Dr. Yamniski, you're welcome to come along as well. Whenever I get that date, I'll share it with you, and we look forward to meeting with Representative Markozik. In addition, being a personal constituent of Representative DeLuca, I wanted to share with the committee some great legislation that I think he has come up with, and I received this from him as a communication being a constituent. He says, and I will read this so there's no question as the wording and who stated these words. This is from Representative DeLuca himself. He says, I wanted to inform you that I have introduced legislation that could potentially keep more money in your pocket and alleviate the continued rise of property taxes in our district. The measure is House Bill 2142, and it looks to curb what I believe to be reckless spending on behalf of school districts across the Commonwealth, while also giving you, the taxpayer, a decision to say no. It has recently been brought to my attention that the Penn Hill School District, currently $172 million in debt, is looking to file a third consecutive exemption to increase property taxes above the index. This is unacceptable, and I feel school districts are continuously spending beyond their means, leaving it up to taxpayers to make up the deficit. And then he goes on to say, if a school district proposes a tax rate increase above the proposed index, there are currently two options available. One is the tax rate increase must be approved by referendum by the district's voter at the next primary election, or two, a referendum exemption must be obtained from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, thereby bypassing the referendum process. Representative DeLuca states, my legislation would amend the Taxpayer Relief Act of 2006 by limiting a school district to 2 consecutive exemption requests to raise property taxes above the Pennsylvania Department of Education mandated property tax index during a 3-year period. A third request to raise taxes above the index during this time frame would have to be done via a referendum in an election. He states, my constituents should have a voice in this decision. So I commend Representative DeLuca for that, and if any citizens wish to contact their representative, either Representative DeLuca or Representative Markozik, and encourage them to continue supporting this legislation and get it pushed through, feel free to do so. In addition, I wanted to share, in light of safety concerns recently that State Senator Kim Ward is working on some legislation. She says in light of 40-plus school-related threats made in southwestern Pennsylvania since February 14th shooting in Parkland, Florida, she has worked along with the North Huntington Police Department to toughen state laws for students and others under age 21 charged with making threats. Senator Ward proposed that she plans to see co-sponsors next week in Harrisburg for 2 proposed bills. One would suspend the driver's license of a person under age 21 who makes a threat from anywhere towards a school-related location. And the second bill would require district attorneys and judges to request and review the disciplinary records of a student charged in conjunction with a school threat. It would require judges to order the defendant to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. So that's something that Senator Ward's working on. Senator Brewster is our state senator for Plum Borough, so if anyone would like to reach out to him, as I am, to see if he would help Senator Ward. Sometimes deterrents help when we're working as a district and other communities around us to try to deter some of the threats that we continue to face, and there has been, of course, an uptick since the February 14th sad events in Parkland, Florida. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Mr. Kolar, Chairperson. Recommend approval of the following personnel as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Kolar, you have a report?
Just real quick, we met obviously 2 weeks ago, and without stealing too much of Mr. Wisniewski's thunder coming out of policy, there was a reorganization of central administration, and with that, we posted the job for a new assistant superintendent. So that's always posted on the school's website.
Thank you.
That's it.
Policy Committee, Mr. Wisniewski, Chairperson. Recommend approval of the following policies as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I like that recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion passes.
I just want to thank Dr. Brewer again for all your work the last 3 months. I know you had and we all faced a very 3-year backlog of policies to get updated, that state-driven policies that need to be updated, and we pushed through, had some late nights. I want to thank my fellow committee members for sticking around, and you know, we've worked hard to get to the point where we are all caught up now. So looking forward to continuing on, and just there are some other policies that we are digging into. Vaping is becoming a very big issue, so we're going to make sure that our policies are in line with our student handbook, so we are doing further research on that. And as well, you know, safety is a big factor, Mr. Chapa there, so you know, just know that this board is working, and that is on our forefront. We are 3 months into this, and we know what's in front of us. That's all.
All right, thank you. Transportation Committee, Mr. Zuko is not present. From the acting superintendent first, I just wanted to welcome Dr. Highland formally. I will be turning over the reins effective March 30th, and I'm looking forward to working together, so welcome. I also wanted to wish Dr. Hadley best of luck. He's going to be leaving us also. His last day is Thursday. He's going on to become the assistant superintendent of Avonworth. So good luck to Dr. Highland, to Dr. Hadley as well. And one last thing for parents of 3rd through 8th graders, a very, very important time is coming. Beginning April 9th, it's going to be our children's time to show what they've learned throughout the year by taking the PSSAs. And I know the teachers, the students, administrators take this very seriously. The week of Monday, April 9th, they'll be tested on English language arts. The week of April 15th, they'll be tested in mathematics. And the week of April 22nd, they'll be tested in science. So good luck to all of our students. And that's all I have.
As far as the president's report, I just also want to congratulate Dr. Highland. His official start date coming on as our new superintendent on March 30th. I think with his hiring, you can definitely say that there's going to be a new culture in Plum, I think for the better. And I'm totally confident he's going to do a fantastic job, you know, with the people and also the people he brings on here. So with the change in culture, I'm definitely looking forward to working with him, you know, in all aspects on the school board. And in particular, we got big budget decisions coming up. And I think the board's meeting collectively as a whole on April 12th with Dr. DeSanti. It's going to improve the morale, and we're going to build team unity. And that going forward, then we're going to allow us to go into the budget discussions with the first workshop in the following week after April 12th. And you know, we get some tough decisions, not only with the budget, but also with, you know, how we're best going to secure these schools as far as safety. And then, you know, obviously our most important priority is educating our students. So I'm looking forward to having those discussions. So, and our next voting meeting will be April 24th, I believe it is. It's the last Tuesday in April. So, having said that,
I just want to make a comment, and just, we would be remiss as a board if we didn't thank Dr. Yeminski for all she's done for the district. You know, you've done a great job in that position, and thank you. Continue serving us as assistant. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gail.
all right, having said that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first, application, that's for swearing in. I think Brendan needs your signature too. Yeah. And then this one, I had the diploma signatures incorrect. Sign, see that right there? I need 2 examples right there, right
Here?
right here, one here and one here. Sure.
And then right here?
Yep. Perfect, thank you.
I gotta load you up, buddy. I got a bunch of signatures for you.